you so much for joining us. This is AM Today, and I'm tempted to say it's the morning after Nigeria got independence and clocked 64. So, yes, perhaps we begin the edition of this program by hailing Nigerians on the 64th anniversary. My name is Sahid Aribisala. Shade is here, and she's chuckling. What's up?
Yes, it's still in the mood of the Nigerian Independence Day, and today being the second day, yes, we wearing hair yesterday, but I believe that it has susceptible with the independence stories and all that. But here on AM today, this morning, we want to say happy independence to you. It's good to be free. I think those people who are 60 and above will appreciate the day more because they felt what it was like to be under the colonial rule and all of that, and the excitement of the very first independence, will keep reverberating with them. Such a nostalgic feeling. Well, happy independence once again is here today, and we'll be taking you through the newspapers headlines as usual, and some topical issues too. As we know, we'll be bringing to the focus today. My name is Bola Shaduri.
And it's a new month, yes, the second day in the month of October, year 2024. So,
and traditionally, as we say, Happy New Month.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm tempted to also know, how did you mark the 64th independence anniversary? Were you out to attend events in commemoration of that day, or
did you also part of those who
march past, or you were one of those who also had to use the occasion of the Independence Day anniversary to protest, perhaps to also make demands of government? But regardless of whichever one you fall, we're all Nigerians. That's the uniting factor that we also have. But let's take a look at the dailies, and of course the dailies this morning promises loads and loads of contents when it comes to the Independence Day celebration. The Daily Trust newspaper this morning takes the lead, and we'll check the front page of the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper has this bold headline: Fearless in October, protests in Lagos, Ondo, Osrc, halted in Abuja, Kano, Akwa Ibom, others shun demonstration. You will find the picture right there in the front page of the Daily Trust. Northern youths celebrate Independence Day, appreciate President Tinubu. You find thousands of youths across northern Nigeria participate in rallies to commemorate 64th Independence Day and thank President Bola Tinubu for his leadership. The rallies held in Kano, Kaduna, Zaria, Gusau, Sokoto, Gombe, Jalingo, Bauchi, Yola, Maiduguri, Mina, Kefi, and the FCT. That's in the front page of the Daily Trust. But more in the front page of the Daily Trust: Independence Day, Jonathan, governors, Mark. You also find here, finally, the reaction from Daily Trust on the Samoa Agreement saga. Samoa Agreement, our apology. You find the apology from the day newspaper, the Daily Trust this morning in the front page. Of course, you check inside the stories for you.
Yes, more stories on almost all the newspapers this morning. Well, let me take you through the New Telegraph. On the New Telegraph, we have this one: Tinubu, Shetima, others celebrate independence anniversary in Osrc. And there you find a picture of Mr. President signing the Independence Register, while some security personnel, attends to him. And still on the independence, alright, we have this the story. Wike preaches unity, hope as governors. Others felicitate Nigerians. Seek freedom from state capture. Suffering. That is, Obi tells Nigerians to CUPP to Tinubu responsibility for current hardship. Together, we can overcome challenges, says the Christian Association of Nigeria. Tinubu's administration will clear barricades. All right, you find this and more stories on page 2, 5, 6, and 27 on the New Telegraph, and some other stories on the New Telegraph. Here, El Rufai, I did it. I'm ready to swear. If I check page 2 of the governor is willing, the ex-governor is willing to swear to. Nasema admits Nigeria's economy in quagmire. You find details of that on page 3 of the New Telegraph. Tinubu's Independence Day speech, usual rhetoric, false claims, says PDP. You'll find details of that on page 5 of the New Telegraph. Iran launches barrage missiles at Israel. Kenyan MPs begin process to impeach deputy president. Details of the stories you find on pages 4 and 5 of the New Telegraph. The New Telegraph importation hits 6-month high at 35% increase in September. And you have this one. NYU tackles Tinubu over proposed National Youth Conference. You find details of that on page 4. It says once 2014 confab report implemented to reduce governance cost. Rift resolved as Emirates flight lands in Lagos after 2 years. Find details of that story on page 5. These and more you find on the New Telegraph this morning.
Well, from the New Telegraph newspaper, The Punch is next. The Punch newspaper, in the front page, boldly written there. October 1 protest record low turnout nationwide. You find riders to that. Kaduna, Plateau, Nasarawa, others, Sean Wali. Heavy police presence in Osun, Niger. As a fine, police arrest 10 in Kano. Port Harcourt as Dance backs President's Youth Confab. Tinubu governors preach patriotism at 64th Independence Day parades. Find FG extends Rice subsidy program to states. Shadi, what are you getting us?
Let us get her first.
Okay.
We'll see, but it's certainly going to be difficult going to queue for some.
Okay, you look at the subsidy and the amount has been subsidized.
Yes.
Perhaps you want to part with queuing.
Okay.
5 suspects arrested for allegedly killing Ogun fisherman. You also find here flooding worsens despite 180 billion naira spent on dams. Port Harcourt refinery misses 7th production rollout deadline. That's again. Some say we're not ready yet. We're not ready. Petrol imports drop by 3.58 billion litres after subsidy removal. That's coming from the federal government. You also find here in the front page of the Punch newspaper, Iran launches 180 missiles at Israel. FG plans Nigerians' evacuation. That's on page 21 of the Punch newspaper.
From the Punch newspaper, let's check the Nigerian Tribune. On the Nigerian Tribune, protests in Lagos, Abuja, others over hardship. Police fire tear gas as protesters in Abuja. No, we did not. Others, please, says the police commissioner. Lagos Commissioner of Police gives refreshments to protesters. Police are your friends. In the name of friendship. Efforts to liberate Nigeria on course, says Showore. Alright, you find details of that on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. I will swear with Holy Quran. El Rufai denies corruption allegation. Find details of that on page 20 of the Nigerian Tribune. Makinde extends subsidized transport scheme by 6 months. Relaxes measures for agri-credit loans to smallholder farmers. Find details of that on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune. Federal government confers national honors on Akpabio, Kekere Ekun, and Kalu. Right, details of that you'll find on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu, Shetima, others mark Independence Day in Osrc, as we told you earlier on. You find details of that also on the Nigerian Tribune, that is on page 4. PDP slams Tinubu's Independence Day speech, says it's rhetoric insensitive to Nigeria's plight. You find details of that on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune, and page 3 of Nigerian Tribune also bears the story of Iran launching ballistic missiles at Israel. That says the end to the war is not in sight yet. But you will find details on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune, and that will be from Nigerian Tribune.
In the Guardian newspaper, for today, you'll find, in case you've not seen, what the Independence Day anniversary cake looked like. You find it in the front page of the Guardian newspaper. You see the president and the top government officials, joining hands to cut that cake. But the bold one, in terms of the headlines, you find in the front page of the Guardian for today: protest. This content, Nigeria's 64th Independence Day celebration. You also find Independence Day, governors salute Nigerians for resilience amid hardship. Here, in the education sector, ASU gives FG 35-day ultimatum on lingering crisis. That's on page 5 of The Guardian. You also find here, Southwest in need of modern ranches, not open grazing of hold. CDHR advocates removal of states from federal structure. As you find more, providing more clarity to the headline you took about the former governor of Kaduna State. Here in the Guardian, you see, El Rufai, I didn't steal as governor. I'm ready to swear with Quran. Details of that and more in the Guardian newspaper for today.
Alright, the Vanguard. Yes, this fearless in October protests. Soldiers, police crack down on protesters in Rivers, Abuja, and Kano. You have arrest 5 leaders in Kano, stop media coverage of protests in Rivers, panic in Abuja as police tear gas protesters. Showore leads peaceful demonstration in Lagos. CSOs vow to sustain struggle against bad governance. We can't continue like this, protesters tell Tinubu in Ibadan. Please assure residents of security in Ondo. Kaduna calm as youths shun protest. Dialogue with protesters. UAFC's urges the government. Details of that, the protest, across the states, you find on page 5 of Vanguard this morning. And also on the Vanguard, yes, you find the picture of the anniversary cake being cut there. As I said, the cake is a round one with the map of Nigeria on it, the colors, and spectacular is the Nigerian fabric, the national fabric launched by the First Lady.
Local celebration of the fabrics.
Yes, now, if you can be doing your own best, your family thing, just your family, and you're having a Ashwebi, how much more in the whole Nigeria? Nigeria should have Ashwebi now.
Interesting.
And so the First Lady went ahead to provide the a national fabric design there. You can see her in the outfit, in the picture there, flanked by the president. That's the national fabric. I also saw that fabric in Akure yesterday, so it means it got down to the state. I wouldn't know if it's purchased or just give away, but then it's a good initiative. It's a good way of identifying Nigerians. All right, and still on the vanguard, we have this away from independence. Emirates lands in Lagos 2 years after suspending operation. And we have this, okay, independence anniversary, Nigeria at risk of dictatorship, as according to Obi and Atiku. This is of what you find on page 9 of the Vanguard this morning. Tinubu independence speech, yeah, we've said that. CSO says Tinubu failed to address Nigerians' problems, and this and more you find in the Vanguard this morning.
In the Daily Sun newspaper for the 2nd of October 2024, leading with this one on the front page: police protesters clash in Abuja, Tinubu pushing Nigerians to war. That's coming from Showore. Rivers youth move against protesters. You also find here in the Daily Sun for today, APC admits economic reforms causing discomfort. We are facing state capture. That's coming from Obi. And here, Kwankwaso, APC government not in touch with reality. So see here, Tinubu, Shatima, Sambo, others celebrate independence anniversary in Aso. US, UK, EU felicitate. Ohaneze demands political pardon for Nnamdi Kanu. You also see here, police arrest monarch, 12 others over alleged marine hunters murder in Akwa Ibom. Arsonist set senators' home, university buildings on fire over fake report. That's it from the Daily Sun for today.
All right, the Daily Times has this. Mixed reactions trail Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary. We're retooling economy to serve Nigerians better, says Tinubu. Independence Day speech confirms APC's insensitivity to Nigerians, according to PDP. CSOs protest high cost of living across cities. Details of that you find on page 2 of the Daily Times. Nigeria at 64 will be 6 independence from state capture and to suffering. You find details on page 19 of the Daily Times. Nigerian careers in urgent need of support say, I take that again. Nigerian carriers in urgent need of support, say aviation experts. You find details of that on page 20 of the Daily Times. Despite clampdown, spraying of naira notes at parties still persists. It seems that habit can we do without him? Really?
Not when you also think about what has become of the persecution of those who were also fingered for this kind of issues. I just some would say, look, we have a way to go about some of these things. We might not just be bothered about what law or what sanction awaits you.
Some will even go as far as, okay, I'm not going to be spending naira at my party, I'm going to be spending dollars. After all, it's not your currency. Just to some years ago, decided to print paper and money. They printed their own kind of like a voucher, to be spent. There has to be that spray part in the party. Well, EFCC still has a lot of work to do as regards that, and the same thing with the National Orientation Agency. Perhaps they can do something in reorienting Nigerians regarding the spraying of money culture. All right, Nigeria imported 20.3 billion 20.30 billion liters of petrol in 2023, says a Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. You find details of that on page 11 of the Daily Times this morning. Middle Belt minorities demand secession from North. Others decry decades of marginalization and fault British colonialists. Well, find details of that too on the front page of the Daily Times this morning. That will be from the Daily Times.
Right here in Ondo State, you also had the celebration of the Independence Day anniversary, where Governor Lucky Aiyedati with top government officials, residents of the states, converged on the Gandhi, Fawayemi, Freedom McKay for that particular event. And of course, the governor at that event spoke about the need to build a stronger, abundant, and prosperous Ondo State together. Yes, there is need for collectivism for us to really move Ondo State forward. And of course, mentioned the fact that the 64th independence is a time for reflection, and of course, a time for us to, take a look, take a peep into the history, and of course, trying to vision the future for ourselves. And that's where the place of collectivism also comes in. Everyone doing their parts, putting resources together to move Ondo State forward. But let's see how residents have been urged, charged, advised to support government in that regard, and we're hoping that that's what is necessary for us to really have the Ondo State of our dream within the Nigeria of our dream. So let's move sports, right, Shadi?
Yes, talking sports, we have this one. I am worth more than £100, says Osrc. You find details of that on page 7.
£100, £100 million.
Oh, million is there, million is there.
Definitely.
Goodness. Also, what are you worth anyway? Should I ask? 70,000.
In the
Minimum
transfer
wage.
market.
Let's just leave it at the.
Is it the transfer market?
Where are you transferred to?
Okay.
So
You get to know.
let's leave it at minimum wage. Maybe what 70,000 naira. Okay, so that's on the Punch Sports Extra. And we also have this one, AFCON qualifier. Libya resumed training to arrive in Nigeria October 7. The details you find on page 6 of the Punch Sports Extra. And best dribbler, says Okocha. Find details of that on page 7. Is he still dribbling? Has he retired? So, but then you find details of that. Probably a couple of his experience while he was active, in the sporting arena. This and more are the stories you find this morning.
And the Sporting Sun, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen begins treatment out for 7 days, leading race to win Turkish Super League goal of the week. It says I'm worth more than £100 million euros. That's it. You also find some Nigerian footballer in the news today, and I'll value myself more. That's coming from Wabali. And one man in the French Ligue 1, Moses Simon, picked for. You also see here, Anthony Joshua suffers huge rankings drop, but it says it is never over until it is over. But let's see how Joshua will be able to come back from that recent defeat in the world of boxing. You also see here, Stones 100% ready to take over Rodri role. You also find here in the front page, Iniesta to end career at age of 40. Yes, one man who had also gone into retirement, but as fate would have it, is back in the fray of things, in the mix of things. Szczesny completes medical ahead of Barca move. Find that story and more in the Sporting Sun for today. And one man, Cristiano Ronaldo, drops huge retirement hint. Well, you can only think about what the post-Ronaldo era would be like, the post-Messi era would be like. Perhaps some say that era is even already fading away at this time when you look at some of the crop of talents that are now coming up and, of course, doing great things like they did while in their own young young age. But that's where we'll leave it for the newspaper review segment for today. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll put more spotlights on issues in society.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it. Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing.
This morning, we will be spotlighting um, some of the critical things that's needed to shape what many would say should be the Nigerian dream. Because when you have the dream, there must be something pushing it, there must be something molding it, there must be something really yearning for the actualization of that dream. But we'll take a look at pressure groups, incessant protests, and clout chasing. That's the focus of this engagement, and we're being joined by the national president, Campaign for Democracy. So it's Pastor Ifeanyi Odili is the national president, Campaign for Democracy. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Presenter.
Yes, I know you have history when it comes to agitation for a better Nigeria, for Nigeria that will be a place for all. Tell us, when it comes to this, because when you look at the history of the country, you tell us the issue of Nigeria even gaining freedom in the first instance was as a result of the effort of some persons who perhaps formed a form of pressure group to champion this cause. When you look back to this beginning, what comes to your mind?
You see, when I look at how we came together, sometimes around the 1991, 1992, 1993 to 1998, and compare it to what is happening today among the prayer groups, my heart bleeds. Because what we have today is quite different from what we had then. In those days, we
perhaps you tell us what was the motivation behind the formation of some of these groups that you talked about earlier, and of course when you look at some of the obtainables at this time. Tell us what was the driving motivation at that time, and perhaps the result of what you've said is not happening again today.
In those days, we had genuine leaders. Are you with me?
Of course, we're with you.
We had the genuine leaders. Now, when we talk of June 12th, how June 12th struggle, you cannot mention the lives of Dr. Ekora Tokuti. You cannot mention the lives of Shigani Hawebi, Femi Fanan, Olisa Bakuba, and most of them like that. But today, we have such people. We don't have such people. Right now, what we have are charlatans going around government offices to collect money. When they issue out the threats, the government will begin to panic. The next thing is to call them and offer them something, they shake it out. They betray the cause. It wasn't like that. In those days, before we go on strike and on protest, there used to be serious mass sensitization across Nigeria. The masses, the public will be well sensitized. That is why, that was why anytime we issued statements stay at home, you see the whole nation obeying it. All of them, the whole nation will obey.
So it was more about people who were also involved in that process, right? Involved even in the activities of the pressure groups at that time.
Please come again.
So it was more of people's involvement, even in the activities of the pressure groups, when you talk about the mass mobilization, sensitization across the country. And it also brings the question, you mentioned the leaders at that time, and of course what is obtainable at this time. A lot of persons will wonder, where did the disconnect? Where did the disconnect happen? Was it the fact that the leaders at that time did not groom those who were able to perhaps also carry on the baton when they get to, old age or something, or when they want to enter into retirement of some sort?
Please, the thing is breaking. I can't hear you clearly.
Okay, we'll try to reconnect with you, but if you can hear me, Pastor Odili, can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. It's seriously breaking here.
We'll try to reestablish connection with you. It's still AM today, and of course, we're trying to get the thoughts of the national presidents of the National President Campaign for Democracy on the issue of pressure groups, incessant protest, and of course, cloud chasing. We'll take a break, and when we come back again, perhaps we'll have better connection with the National President Campaign for Democracy. Stay with us.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Osrc television, and of course the conversation we're having earlier will continue with that. The National President Campaign for Democracy, Pastor Ifeanyi Odili, speaking with us on the issue of pressure groups and of course protests and what some have not termed cloud chasing in Nigeria. Thank you so much for rejoining us on the program. Yes, I was about mentioning the issue of disconnect between the leaders of then and of now. Was it a situation where those who led the pressure groups at that time did not groom enough people or enough persons to also have that sort of mentality, that sort of motivation for them to carry on with this sort of vigor that they had at that time and the intentions, the clear intentions they had at that time?
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Odili, you've mentioned earlier that the inability of the CSOs to follow through in their protests due to corruption and bribery in the process. But that does not mean that there are no CSOs or individuals, pressure groups who who actually want to protest and in a patriotic cause. For instance, yesterday in Port Harcourt, the youth were unable to gather for their protest. In each of their gathering, there was security forces there to tell them, you can't do this here. In your days, was it like that? Did you have a situation where you are not allowed? So, what do you make of the situation right? Yes, what do you make of the situation right now in Nigeria where people's right to protest, is being caged? People, when say that we want to protest, the government, releases press statements saying, do not protest, we are working on whatever it is you are agitating for. So, what do you think is the way forward? Anyway, because, for instance, the August protest was about hunger in the country. So, okay, you believe? Yes, can you continue, please? Yeah, so we're with you. Hello? Okay, you said Nigerians need to be patriotic, right? Yes, I can hear you. All right. Okay, Mr. Audley. Mr. Okay, Mr. Audley, you talked about being principled, you've talked about being patriotic in the cause of whatever agitation that pressure groups are having. But let's take a look at the 2020 NSAS protest. The youth were resolute in that protest, and see how it left the country, in a bad light, and left some people even out of business till today. Because from your speech, I can see that you're trying to say Nigerians should be resolute when they want to protest. They shouldn't mind restraints from government. They should go ahead with it. But in a situation where it leads to clamp down and the kind of incidents that we had in 2020, what are you suggesting? How can they make sure that we have a protest that will not leave the country in a volatile state? Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Okay. All right. For instance, the situation we are in right now in Nigeria, in the face of a hike in the price of commodities, a fuel increase, and all that, does that call for protest? The situation we are in now, the economic challenges we are currently facing in Nigeria. So you thank you. All right. Now let's look at it this way. apart from protests, how else can we address, our grievances with the government as citizens?
There's nothing you can do. The only way you can channel your grievances to government is to protest. Because if you take them to court, they will defeat you. Yes, absolutely nothing you can do. You cannot arrest, nothing you cannot arrest. The only internationally recognized avenue to channel your grievances to the government is to protest. But not violent one.
Okay.
Do non-violent protest. That is capable of grounding the economy of the nation, bringing the attention to us, to our citizens.
Uh,
There's absolutely nothing you can do than protest. Nothing.
All right. Recently, people have been lauding Mr. President for the call for youth comfort. Do you subscribe to that? Do you think it's probably going to provide a kind of good avenue for citizens and government interaction to be able to look at these issues and probably find solutions to them? A youth comfort.
Please, you're right.
Yes, I said recently Mr. President is calling for a youth comfort. Yes. Do you think that would go a long way to solve, let me say the communication gap between the government? Yes, please.
The youth comfort proposed that 2 days ago by our president is another way of dissuading us, turning our attention to another place. It is a bad, it is a fluke, it cannot work. Now let me take you back to ENSA. During the ENSA, you will recollect that the federal government organized pro-farming. This is still correct.
Okay.
The organized pro-farming to look into police brutality and what have you. Maybe we went there, we did it, we invited the victims, we recommended money, and the government been able to pay them what we recommended. And the government been able to do that, it was just great, because they know that the youth are restless these days. They are not happy. That is why I am now talking about the youth whatever they call it. And let me tell you, if they want to organize it so far, you will now see the grandfather coming out as the youth. You will see somebody like me coming out as the youth. What is the definition of the youth? Let's go to the international convention of the youth. What is the meaning of the youth? The age bracket. If we see 60 years old man coming out as the youth, if we see the politicians sending their own uncles and their own brothers and sisters there, the real youth that are affected will not be there. You will not see them in that color. So the whole thing is a fluke. I don't believe in that. And I can't see how that will help the nation in the presence of economic hierarchy. I don't see it.
Pastor Odili, there has also been the conversation around how the pressure groups have also lost touch with some of the realities you mentioned at the start or at the formative stage of having some of these organizations and the ones that have now come after. The question around the influence of international organizations is also on the table, because some say it appears everyone is interested in Nigeria more than ever before, going forward as always. And there are also avenues for agenda of different kind to be pushed from different quarters. Do you also think this is part of what is affecting or influencing the, not so, the international influence? Yes. Do you see this as part of what is influencing the pressure groups that we have? Some of them, just like you said, not living up to the expectation.
Yes,
What
we're
with
with
you?
you.
So they were influencing your activities at that time. They had interest. So do you also see, past now, do you see influences contributing to the play of the pressure groups at this time in Nigeria? All right, so as we begin to wind down on this conversation, there's also need to take projections into the future, take projections on how to perhaps re-engineer all of these groups for Nigeria's progress. So when we talk about that, the conversation at this time also is the fact that things have gone beyond protest. You can have conversations on the table. There are better ways to communicate with government. What do you say to that? What areas do you think pressure groups should be looking at? Yeah,
Yes,
well, with
we're
you.
with- Okay. Talking about all right. Okay. Okay. You're talking about Mr. Pastor Odili. Yes, if you're talking about it can be given, it's taken, that means force needs to be applied. I said, you said freedom can't be given, it has to be taken. I said, that means force needs to be applied. Force needs to be applied. Okay, but okay.
All right. All right. Finally, Pastor Odili, I imagine in 1991, 1993, 1998, which you'll be referencing, we've not had much of an impact, or perhaps non-existent at that time. The place of social media in the scheme of things, this is where you have about 1,000 followers. You now some a form of influencer. Forming a form of group, a form of cult. To put it that way, what influence do you see this having going forward in the scheme of things? Yes.
Yes.
So do you think the social media has not provided enough room for groups or pressure groups to be able to make careful plans, thought out plans, involved in good sensitization efforts? Perhaps I'm tempted to ask or to close this conversation with your thoughts as the country clocks, clocked 64 years yesterday, and perhaps also to know where you had your to ask you your thoughts on the 64th independence of Nigeria and how you also had your celebration yesterday. Pastor Odili, when we have conversations like this, it's also always important to look at the side where, for improvements, what steps do you think? You listen to the president's speech. What step must that speech be backed up with? What sort of action should it be backed up with to start seeing some form of changes in the scheme of things? Okay.
All right. Okay. Just before. Okay, Mr. Odili, just before we let you go, I just want to say, in 1 minute, recently, what are those instances or incidences that have made you to feel like you are proud to be a Nigerian in recent times? Are there? I said, what are those incidences in recent times that made you feel you're proud to be a Nigerian? Something you're proud of the nation for recently?
Pastor Odili, it appears the Nigerian dream is one that will continue to work at, the one that will continue to, put more effort to envision a better place for all, so that people like you also have something to be proud of as a Nigeria. But we'll leave the conversation at that, and perhaps we continue some other time. Pastor Ifeanyi Odili is the National President, Campaign for Democracy, and has been speaking with us on the role of pressure groups, protests, and of course, what you also find that some say it's clout chasing in the scheme of things, all to ensure that we have a better Nigeria. Thank you so much for speaking with us on the program this morning. Yes, our viewer, that's where we say our buys on the program this morning. And today, the first edition of the month of October, and of course, the second day of independence. Thank you so much for being a part of our conversation today. I'm Saeed Arizasala.